Thanks for tuning in to the Urban School Podcast. I'm back with more hip hop news. I wanted to talk about one of the biggest elements of being an MC or being a rapper in hip hop, not just today, but in history. More so in history because there are not a lot of great storytellers like we had, 10, 20 years ago. There were a plethora of them. Now it's a lot of drill rap now. It's a lot of different subgenres of hip hop that are not more so true emceeing. It's more, let me make words rhyme and words sound good together, but it's not so much so great storytelling. But we've seen some of the best storytellers ever do it, right? So we've seen artists like Tupac, who has Brenda's Got a Baby about an inner city girl who has a baby um, as a teen and who has the issues of being a new age parent and not knowing what to do. One of the most graphic stories you can think of in hip hop history that were created by an artist, right? And Tupac talked about creating this story because he's seen what televising the war did, making it stop. And his thought process was if he put the most graphic stories out, the most horrible stories out, it would stop this stuff in our um, inner cities. But however, it didn't happen. But the idea was a great one. But Tupac's "Brenda's Got a Baby" is one of the greatest storytells of hip hop history. Then you have a story like Biggie's Juicy's talk about raising his daughter and the difficulties of doing that, of not having a job, not being able to make it, going out on the streets and being able to hustle. One of the greatest storytellers and stories told in hip hop history. Uh, Pretty much every song that Nas had is a form of storytelling, whether it be anything off that It Was Written album, the Illmatic album, going back to Godson, all the way to now to Magic 3 and projects thereafter and here and before. He's had those. Jay-Z's lost one. He has different stories he's telling in there, so be autobiographical. But even if you go back to a song like I Know is telling a story about addiction and things like that. So they have these stories. And then one of the biggest ones, of course, is Ice Cube's Today Was a Good Day. One of the greatest story tolls of all time about a day in the life of being in California, LA specifically, and just going through a good day and doing what he wanted to do and nobody actually being unalive that day. One of the greatest stories that is somewhat autobiographical, but I think it was the inspiration for when he created Friday because it was based off of one day and he's doing all these great things. But of course, Friday had bad moments in it where it was a plot, of course. You had to put a plot in the movie, but I think today was a good day. It was somewhat inspiration for Friday. Um, but these storytellers and stories that have been told throughout hip hop create um, the entertainment for the fans and for the audience. And one of the greatest stories told, and it's autobiographical, is 50 Cent's Ghetto Quran. Now, I've heard about Ghetto Quran before when I was a kid, and people were saying things about the song, but it didn't turn out to be their way. People were saying that 50 Cent was telling on people and he was giving up all the sauce. But it's not that. Um, Most of all the people that he talked about in the song, people already knew about him. It was just folklore and things like that. And being from the South and hearing about some on the East Coast, you think you wouldn't be interested about it. But the way 50 Cent can tell a story is amazing. And he puts it in a way that the common man can understand. I just actually took a listen to this song last year, and I've been playing it ever since. And of course, it's just on YouTube. It's not on any major DSPs like Apple Music or Spotify, anything like that. Um, and I even listened to the detective Bill Courtney talk about a lot of names that 50 Cent mentions in his Ghetto Quran on Vlad TV. Bill Courtney broke a lot of things down and his experiences, and as he worked the case, that on a lot of people that 50 Cent mentioned in Ghetto Quran. And Ghetto Quran is not just a great storytelling song; it's one of the greatest songs I think in hip hop history. I definitely would put it in my top 100. for sure. But to make that list would be very difficult, but it could definitely be made. But that song is definitely in the top 100. It's more than just storytelling. It's just great artistry and true emceeing to be able to put that song together like that. And the song felt organic the way he did it because you could tell that he was gonna put all these names in there, but he didn't say like, "All right, let me put this guy in their name. Let me see something to rhyme with it." No, he wasn't really rhyming names; he was rhyming situations. So it made it a lot different and a lot more difficult because it's not like he's just saying, rhyming Chris with something or Michael with something. He's rapping situations and making it sound very organic, so it didn't feel like it was forced. It felt like it was something that he thoughtfully did. And it kind of foreshadowed him as a creator as well because his TV shows that he executive produces and write and has the idea for, it foreshadowed his career that he has now because the Ghetto Quran showed that he can put a story together, even if it's already created, and put it together, i.e., the BMF series. That was already a story that was out. He just had to tell it in a way that could be made for TV, and he did that eloquently. And he had the idea and the vision to do so. So, true emceeing, being a storyteller, I don't see why all of these MCs couldn't be directors, producers, writers, and things like that. Because truthfully, they're doing this type of stuff every year, every day, so to speak. This is what they do for a career. They just do it in a different way that rhymes to a beat. But if you take the beat out and you just leave the words in, it's pretty much entertainment. It's theater, it's TV, it's film, it's all of those things. And 50 brung all of those things to the big screen or so to speak, the smaller screen with the TV shows that he does on Stars. He's done a show on ABC. He's doing a show now. I forgot it's some kind of true crime show he's doing now. He's doing all these different things. So, but in this Ghetto Quran, he just broke down every pretty much gangster in New York that he knew about in that time, and then in the previous before him, just to tell a story that it made it feel like when he rapped this song, you were actually listening to a movie like a movie audio tape, so to speak. So I think this song is just phenomenal for what it's been able to do, especially being from somebody not from being from New York or knowing about any of the parties involved. But just to know that he could tell a story like this would definitely put him in the great storytellers list. Going back all the way back to like Slick Rick, a lot of those guys had elements of storytelling, and 50 Cent did just that. But I think New York easily has the best storytellers in rap history and hip hop history. So um and hip hop doesn't get enough credit for their storytelling. Also for their infatuation with true crime, which is a thing now that a lot of people want to know about true crime stories and unsolved mysteries and things like that, which has been out since the beginning of time, right? But hip hop has always had that element in the genre, and it doesn't really get talked about enough because it's perpetuated a lot throughout hip hop. So, but tell me what your thoughts about Ghetto Quran is, and until next time, I'll see you next time.